But obviously you've been able to afford healthcare and stuff
Yeah,
like
my
that.
parents, like, see, that was, like, one thing that I never really had to struggle with was, like, financial stuff. Mine was more, like, inner, I guess, like, trying to cope with, like, but the only thing that, like, a financial aspect of it, I guess, was that, like, whenever I went in like, the kindergarten, kind of, like, up to 5th grade sort of point of my life, in school, I was, like, I was also one of the kids that didn't live in the country club and that didn't have, like, a $3.2 million house, and, like, my dad wasn't the governor and shit, you know what I mean? Like, I was kind of, like, the poor person at the rich school, like, you know? So, it was, I don't know, I guess, like, I got picked on a lot for my shoes not being Nikes and, like, not having the big G watch or whatever the hell that was all about, and, you know, like, just weird stuff. So, I guess that's, like, the only, like, financial, like, kind of alienation I've felt, like, you know, as a younger person. I experienced a whole different side of stuff later on. But yeah, as far as, like, early on with money and stuff, I didn't really have to worry about that or anything. Like, but yeah.
And what's your take, like, so you're someone who's at least up to a certain point had adequate health care.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about a universal health care system?
Yeah, I think that's, like, mandatory. Like, I mean, yeah, in the situation I am now, yeah. No. I mean, I don't even know what my parents paid for the doctors I went to. And what's really sad is those waiting rooms were, a lot of times for the specialists, were generally empty. And I'm sure there were a lot more people that needed to be there that couldn't, you know, because the specialists or the specialty people would really cost a lot more. So, but, you know, it's all, like, kind of in retrospect now, because it wasn't like I was really aware of it then. I was just trying to get through high school, or, you know, so.
How have the budget cuts at school affected you any? At the school particularly?
I don't think so, really, because I'm still on TOPS, so,
right.
Like, I didn't really have to worry about, like, financing that part, I guess. But
No department got cut or anything like
no,
that?
no. Of course, I changed my major so much, I don't think it would have had time to, like, I don't know.
How do you feel about the child care here on campus?
I think I think it's really overlooked as a problem, and I think it's just a lot of it is I think it really should be implemented. I think that.
A question.
Yes.
For those who don't know, do we have child care facilities here on campus for?
They have the Head Start program, which if you meet certain income qualifications, and I guess, like, I don't really know, I haven't ever used it, so I don't really know what they offer, but I've talked to a few people that have used it, and I mean, apparently it's not that accessible. If a lot of people that I've talked to at school, you know, haven't mentioned that they have their kids at the place at school, you know, and it's not very well advertised either. Like, I had to do, like, pretty much one of those Google searches on the campus website in order to find it, and it only pulled up, like, 2 articles. Like, there's no formal website of, like, oh, Southeastern Head Start? Not that I've found, anyway. I mean, maybe there is, but, I mean, if they do have any type of child care services, I would say that it's somewhat inadequate for what is needed for a real parent in the real world to be a real student.
Like, what is needed?
Like, I mean, when you're a parent and you're going to school, you already have to, like, kind of figure out all kinds of ways around things. Like, you have to figure out how to schedule your classes around other people's work schedules and everything. So, you know, I mean, I would expect to have to schedule certain times to, like, have my child at the daycare center, because, you know, with the amount of people that probably would be needing the services, like, they probably would have to sort of rotate them, you know. So, like, you know, you couldn't have just kids there all day, like, while, you know, their parents went and, you know, went to school and then went and had lunch with their friends, and then, you know, it would have to be like, so which I would expect, but I mean, it just needs to be something where, you know, a student can drop their child off and be like, you know, here's like, you know, when my class is supposed to get out, you know, if you need, like, if there's some kind of emergency, here's my cell phone, and like, you know, just have it like on vibrate or whatever, you know, and it needs to be something where they can drop them off and not, you know, not have to like worry about it after that, because like that's a big issue with having kids while you're in school.
Right.
So it's like I'm always, even though I'm thinking about like my class and like my test or just whatever, I mean, even whenever I'm just in a social environment like without my kids, I'm always kind of in the back of my mind wondering what my kids are doing, who's watching them, if they're okay, if, you know, Noah's eating stuff off the floor or whatever. Like, you know, it's just things like that. So
How has the state of the economy affected you?
like overall, or just pertaining to any certain area?
Any area that you feel affected in. Could be school, could be your home life, could be your social life, could be any sphere that you feel that at least the effect of the state of the economy is remarkable.
I feel like it's completely gutted, and I feel like we're all running around in circles on like little wheels and hamster cages with really no goal. Like we're like, you know, the ocean is dry, but we haven't stopped rowing the boat. Like, you know, like, and having kids and stuff, and trying with my ex to make things work and stuff was really, really difficult financially, and you know, I mean, he made a lot of money, and with the kind of jobs he had, which he only got those jobs, you know, because he knew someone that was already in the business and stuff. I mean, it's just kind of like ridiculous, like what all the credentials are. I mean, like from where I am right now, like I don't really have like an income or anything. Like I don't have like, you know, any sort of like my own money, so I'm not like an independent functioning person in like the economic world. Like
Right.
I'm relying on the backs of other people, unfortunately, which is really kind of sucky because like I've also got 2 kids on my back, so it's like, you know, like my shortcomings or my like failings in certain areas like are gonna affect them.
Right.
Like, you know, just because I've got, that's, you know, the load I've got to bear being a woman who should have been more in control of her, you know, whatever, you know. Yeah, the economy's, I don't think, like, I don't even know if I have, like, a clear concept of exactly how it works, because it's, like, it just seems like there's so many different formalities and stuff, and it's just, like, everything kind of, like, comes down to, like, this dollar that's pretty much worthless, but it's, like, I don't know, it's just, I feel like no one's ever getting to the money, they're just, like, constantly trying to get there, so it's, like, I don't even know how to talk about an economy when it seems so, like, non-existent. It's just,
so
like,
abstract, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, what is an economy exactly? Like,
Right.
because it's obviously nothing here is functioning. So do economies function? Like, do they have a function? Because we need to get back to whatever that function was, if that seems like a necessary part of it. But, yeah, I mean, I've sat in the offices at, you know, at the welfare places and waited in lines, you know, those kind of things. And I've, like, seen all these people with, like, these kids. I'm sorry. It's like nobody did anything wrong, especially not like little kids. Yep. It's just different, and like some of them didn't even have like a starting point. Like their jumping off point was already like in the gutter when they started, you know. Like, and there's no way to climb out of that pit because they've just got like so much against them, and especially down here, like you've got the whole stupid notion of racism, so it's like, I was one of maybe like 3 white people in there, you know, or whatever, if you want to call it that, you know, and it's it just, like, but yet when I take the kids to the doctor's office where I pay for my insurance, like, you know, like, where, like, the little town that I live in is, you know, primarily jerky, rude white people, so, you go to the office there and it's just, you know, I'm not saying all the time, but it's just wrong that, like, they're not getting adequate care when they didn't do anything wrong. Like, well, but nobody, you know, nobody's getting treated fairly, really, in the system, which is why the system needs to change. It's like, it's not really a functioning system. It's not a system at all. You've just, because there's no connection, because you've got, like, separate worlds, like, and then whenever, like, I met my biological family, and I was kind of, like, jumping off somewhere crazy, and I've, like, completely left out a part of this story, but I'm adopted, and so the family that, you know, gave birth to me and all, they're, you know, they don't really have privileges like I had in the sense of money and stuff, and so I have a sister that's, like, pretty much identical to me, but she was on, like, a completely different route, and, like, our lives are, like, really kind of similar in some areas. Like, we had our kids really close together and stuff, and our ages are really close together, and we've been through a lot of, like, stuff emotionally that was somewhat similar, but, I mean, of course hers was, like, you know, different and worse in a way, you know, and it's like, she didn't deserve, now she's in jail for I don't even know how long, and, you know, she really should, like, that could have been me, you know, is really what it comes down to. It's like privilege is just such a random chance game. It's like, that so could have been me, and she could have so been where I am now, you know, like, it's just stupid, like, to have all these systems based on privilege, like,